What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. When it comes to DC comic book figures, these days I'm still in a catchphrase from Marvel. I'm going make mine MAFEX. And that hasn't come too easily. I mean, the price tag of the figures is kind of like, whoa, what's going on? But then they had all the other things that mattered to me when collecting figures. They're matched up scale wise, have tremendous articulation, great likenesses to the source material, and they're loaded with accessories. And when they need to, they come up with the wires and the capes so I can pose them. It's amazing. It's great. It's awesome. And so when I get some Mafex figures and I compare them to any other line that makes DC comic figures, I'm kind of like, yeah, looks like the Mafex one is now the new default definitive version character that's front and center in my display for DC Comics figures. So I recently opened up my Mafex Steel and Cyborg Superman. And you see I've got them with the Mattel DC Classics Eradicator. And there's no hate to the Eradicator. I mean, in that style, he's one of the best figures. Yeah, I wish I could see his eyes through that very thick goggles, but otherwise, he's an excellent figure from DC Classics. But you compare him to what Mafex delivers, and of course, that price tag means that the Mafex figures should be better, but they're really better. The capes are great. You can pose them. They have all these great accessories, and they look like they do in the comic book. So that's awesome. That's amazing. But one thing that's definitely working against Mafex, they're never going to rival the massive universe-spanning collection that DC Classics gave us. I mean, they've got characters like Omac, Commandy, El Dorado. I mean, they've got all these characters. We're probably not going to see a fraction of those characters from Mafex. How they're going to release our DC figures is through theme waves. We've seen that in the past with what they've done so far. We've gotten Dark Knight Returns figures. We've gotten Batman Hush, gotten Batman Nightfall figures with that Bane and Nightfall Batman coming up. So that's really cool. And we also have the Return of Superman line. And we've already gotten two that I've mentioned already, the two big heavy hitters, Steel, Cyborg, Superman. And coming up real soon, and I'm very excited, we're getting the Eradicator, and that figure looks great. Note that you can actually see his eyes underneath those goggles, so that's really cool. I'm excited about that. And joining him as well is the little guy, the Superboy. And I love this figure, turned out so great. He actually has a removable leather jacket, so you can get all of his different looks through that storyline, and he just looks awesome. I think they nailed this figure so well. I'm really excited to get him and add the other two Supermen to this storyline in my collection. Now, the thing with Return of Superman is there are certain characters that I still want. I kind of feel like maybe Mafex is winding down that particular theme, but there's still a Green Lantern, Hal Jordan they could do, Supergirl, and Mongol. And I think if we got those three characters, I would feel like we got that line tackled pretty well. Of course, if they want to throw in a Lois Lane and Alexander Luthor, I wouldn't be upset either. But those are the ones that I think are really important and key to having that full lineup knocked out. So we'll see if they go beyond Eradicator and Superboy to add in a few more pivotal characters. Really, if I've got to choose two, Hal Jordan and Mongol are the absolute most important characters in that, because we need a Green Lantern from Mafex, and that's a really cheap, easy way to get a Hal Jordan. So that's my way to do that. But I was thinking, once they wrap up the Return of Superman, they need to do another theme of Superman. We've seen this with Nightfall. They're doing that after they've exhausted most of the characters from Hush, and there's still probably 5 or 6 more characters from Hush they could do in that line. But they're going back and doing Nightfall, which of course came much earlier than Hush. And Hush had 13 characters at my latest count of figures coming from that storyline. And Nightfall, I got to assume we're going to get like 7 or 8 more characters. Maybe that's where we're going to get our Tim Drake Robin. And if so, clearly the Mafex version is going to be the definitive version of him. Then there's other prototype versions of Azrael as he's starting to convert to his different take on Batman. All the rogues that escaped that Batman and Azrael fight during that storyline. A Nightwing. So there's a ton of characters who are viable additions to that setup. So switching back to Superman, what's the obvious one, the biggest theme that they could do? That's an easy one for me. It's obviously the death of Superman. This 1992 storyline was clearly the biggest, most important thing that hit DC Comics in such a long time. It was so important that all the different DC creators from that point on were like, well, what can we do? And how do we shake things up with our characters? How do we do all this crazy, wild stuff with them? But Doomsday Superman, Death of Superman was the one that kickstarted everything. Then we got Nightfall, and it was, well, what can we do? Let's make Hal Jordan turn evil. And that started from the whole Return of Superman storyline. So those stories kind of fed into each other, which was really cool. That's why Hal Jordan's so important to really get this Return of Superman wave done and knocked out fully from MAFEX. But with the Death of Superman, I think there's a lot of opportunities for MAFEX to spread out even further into the depths of the DC universe. And it's not a major heavy hitter wave, but I think they're characters that if they were to tackle, they'd find that a lot of fans, a lot of collectors would be very excited to get these figures from them with their superior articulation, accessories, and all kinds of cool add-ons that they throw into these figures. So let's take a look at some of my theme wave. And clearly, Death of Superman is not going to be as extensive as a Batman Hush or Batman Nightfall wave. So I had to make a few cuts, and I really was struggling to limit it to maybe like 8 or so characters. Let's see what I came up with, and let me know what you guys think about this as well. First up, clearly I've got to go with Superman. We've gotten a Jim Lee version, but to me, to have a definitive MAFEX Superman, we've got to get one that more closely resembles a Dan Jurgens take. And Dan Jurgens' version of Superman very closely follows what John Byrne did with his Superman. So if you get this, I think we've got our ultimate Superman, and he did such a great job with his take on him. So I got to get that. I feel like that is a key character to add to this list. And, we see him now as he's about to get ready to fight Doomsday and, then go nuts with that cape again, give us like the same version. I don't know if they really need to do too much more than what we got with the Jim Lee Hush Superman outside of maybe giving him a little bit wider, thicker torso. Not as big as a Dark Knight Returns one, but just so he has that real Superman look and feel to him. And so it's a little bit bigger than the Batman that we got from Hush. But classic Superman and open eyes, no wild stuff there. But this is what I want to see. And I really hope that, with the Death of Superman, we get that classic version of Superman. I feel like that's really key. The Hush one works just fine in a bubble okay, this is a good enough Superman, but I really want a dedicated Superman from MAFEX. And then if I've got a Death of Superman storyline, I've got to get the guy who kills him. And that's Doomsday. But for me, it's got to start with this containment suit. This was such a creepy looking setup for him. The only thing visible is his left hand, and it's got those spikes coming through, kind of like brass knuckles. But the dude literally has one hand tied behind his back, or one arm tied behind his back. And that makes him even creepier and even scarier and even more menacing. Joker's killing Bambi's mom here, and he's just doing all kinds of dirty, just wild stuff because he likes killing. And I love this outfit. Mattel did an awesome job with their figure on this. It was one of my favorites in their entire line. But this is a good figure and a good design. And the thing with Doomsday, over the years, I felt like kind of got lost, was the original artists through this storyline weren't making him 10 feet tall. He was just a little bit taller, definitely wider than Superman. And I feel like if MAFEX takes a page out of their Bane playbook where he doesn't become a man mountain, just make him a little bit taller, definitely wider. That way they can work around and make him a little bit more affordable and still incorporate all that articulation. And I feel like if they were to do the containment suit and literally keep that arm behind the back, that would be such a fun, unique figure. Because Doomsday can still wreck all kinds of stuff even while he's got this outfit on. And as you can see here, as he's starting to smash Booster Gold, running him through a tree, literally. He's not super massive. I mean, you can get a sense on how tall Booster Gold is here, but Doomsday is not that much bigger than him. It's just, this dude is a menace. And I love this picture. It just shows you how formidable Doomsday is. And this whole outfit just leaves that mystery. What's behind the suit? We finally get a look at that, and that's my third figure in this setup. We've got Doomsday with his containment suit, which of course means we've got to have Doomsday unleashed for his final battle with Superman. And the cool thing about this battle was it just kept going on. In Doomsday, we were seeing more and more of him as the battle raged on. This is his final form, essentially. And this design is great. And DC Classics, again, knocked it out with their version. A little bit too tall. He's massive, but, I'll give them a break on that scale because Doomsday can be big. But this is how huge he should look next to Superman. So you see, he's not where that badang is on top, and that's really an odd sound effect now I look at it. And but yeah, it's really cool. And I think if we got both versions of Doomsday, I wouldn't feel like I'm double dipping because the look is so unique from one to the next. But we got to get both versions of him. That to me really gives me a full all-out version of Doomsday. And now in terms of my cheats, I needed the other characters that really sold how impressive and how destructive Doomsday was. And there are some characters that I figured, let's just keep it simple. Let's go with the Justice League of America. And, this is before that storyline, but I would love to see them in these exact looks. I know I can't, there's going to be a really slim chance of getting all these guys. So I decided, all right, let's keep it focused. Let's keep it simple. Which ones are the most essential and which ones that would be viable in any line that would be a MAFEX DC expanding universe, not necessarily those that, are directly tied to the storyline. So I came up with, of course, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, and Fire and Ice. Those are the essential Justice League characters that exist as Justice League members outside of Superman's team that was very short-lived because, he got killed. But I think a MAFEX Blue Beetle would be so awesome. They would knock him out, and he's a guy that would totally benefit from that hyper articulation that MAFEX provides. I'm thinking, take a look at what they did with the Nightwing figure, make him that same height, because I feel like he would work basically with that scale and, give him two different heads, one with the goggles, opaque, and the others with them transparent so you can see his eyes underneath. I think that's a really fun way to go. He didn't have a lot of options in terms of accessories, but man, Blue Beetle would be such a great MAFEX figure just because that's our only way of getting a hyper articulated Blue Beetle. So we got to get him in this look. This is classic look. We don't have to worry about some weird inverse color outfit. This is his look that he rocked through Crisis, pre-Crisis, even when he's back in the Charleston era. So this would be a great outfit to get into the MAFEX DC Comics figure library. And Booster Gold, as the storyline progressed, he had longer hair. I prefer this shorter hair look for him just because, Dan Jurgens co-created Booster Gold, but I felt like he kind of made him like a slacker to the extreme. Not as great as DeMatteis and Keith Giffen wrote him. I thought they did a much better job with him. And Booster Gold's important because he was a guy that named Doomsday. So I think his colors, his outfit are so great. And you can go yellow, you can go gold with it, but I just need Booster Gold. And yes, I'm putting Booster Gold ahead of Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, etc. But I think getting him as part of this theme, there are other ways that we can get a Flash, a Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Hawkman, etc. through MAFEX, but I feel like under the umbrella of Death of Superman, this is the only way we're really going to get him. So there's Blue Beetle, there's Booster Gold, the BFFs forever. And then next up, I mentioned her already, and I feel like she got shortchanged. Booster and Beetle at least got really great figures from DC Classics from Mattel, but my girl Ice got a terrible figure. Hopefully MAFEX can remedy this and give her a really high quality figure. She deserves it. She was a great character back in those JLI, Justice League of America days. And she deserves a great articulated figure. Give her longer hair. But yeah, I really like Fire and Ice. I thought they were such a fun duo, especially pairing them with Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, and of course, Guy Gardner. So let's get Ice. If you've got Ice, then there's absolutely no reason that you could do this and not have her BFF, Fire. Dan Jurgens also wrote Fire terribly. You can see the caption. He just did not understand how she should be written, much like Tom King. And this is the outfit that she was wearing during Death of Superman. Of course, she also has that all green form. That's kind of boring in terms of an action figure. Maybe it's a variant. If McFarlane Toys was doing it, we get that. Maybe like a glow in the dark flame version, but he's not going to tackle her at all. I think Mafex could knock out this look. That jacket, best version that we've seen just a few minutes ago. I think that's my preferred look for her. But this is fine because this is what she was rocking during that time period. You'll note I did not include Guy Gardner in this list just because he was wearing this. I'm not with the Green Lantern Corps version. I think they could probably repaint a lot of this and get our classic looking Guy Gardner. So if they wanted to, I wouldn't say no to that look, but that's not my preferred look for him. But hopefully we'll see him down the road in some Green Lantern themed wave. The next up, a character who's also really tied to this storyline, and I do not think they could get a figure of her out another way, is Maxima. Maxima has a really cool look. I love her whole Phoenix color scheme, the green, the gold, and a little bit of traces of red in there. She's tall. She's got like this Amazonian type presence. So you saw in the earlier picture how she was standing taller than the rest of her teammates. Not Guy, but you see how tall she is next to everybody else. I think that's a really cool thing here. So Maxima is taller. I like her costume, and I think with Mafex, they're not going to shy away from actually doing justice to it, because it's not like it's, oh my gosh, this is so scandalously risque, our poor impressionable kids. I think it's just a cool looking outfit, and definitely she's wearing more clothes than some other outfits. But this is the look I'm saying that I would really love to see Fire in, with the low cut jacket, or the low jacket that just kind of comes up just below her chest. And that's a cool look for the headband. I just think that's a fun outfit choice for her. And since he's on screen now, let's go ahead and mention the other member of this team that I really want to see knocked out and carried into this thing, Bloodwind. DC doesn't have a lot of really great heroes, black guys. I mean, it's like, all right, Cyborg, there's Mr. Terrific, there's John Stewart, there's Amazing Man. And then you start kind of going, well, but this guy. But Bloodwind was so cool. Not going to spoil who he actually is, but this costume is so unique. And I think he would really stand out in any collection because of that stark white, the red underneath. And, they would do the two-tone colors of the cape really well and actually get that whole flared out collar piece looking great. Bloodwind is a really cool character, and he was one of the last members of the Justice League standing while Superman was fighting Doomsday. So it was basically Maxima, Bloodwind, and somehow, against all odds, Ice, she was still there right till the end. But those characters, I think, are the ones that we would just not see from pretty much anybody. I don't think Todd's going to be doing a Bloodwind figure anytime soon. I think that's a great way to get Maxima, Fire and Ice, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, and Blood. But there's one other character that if we do not get her from this final echoes of the Return of Superman, we can easily slot her into Death of Superman. And that, of course, is Supergirl. I think Supergirl's presence is going to be raised as she's featured in her own movie from James Gunn and company later on. But I think this is her best look. If they want to go old school Crisis era with the headband and curly hair, I'd be down for that too. But this version of her, Matrix Supergirl, is a great classic look for Supergirl. And if they want to do Alexander Luthor, I wouldn't be upset either. But I think that's a really good choice of characters, a good small-esque theme of Death of Superman characters that they could do for a while and really do some damage with. Maybe make a 2-pack. Fire and Ice and Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. I feel like a lot of collectors out there would be really happy to get those 4 characters, especially done with the Mafex care to attention and awesome accessories. Maybe they'd even include like a shadow version of Fire fired up to just get the whole look there for. So we'll see. I'm really hoping that once we get the Return of Superman knocked out, they go, well, this is the most obvious Superman story that we should do a whole theme wave around as well. So that's my choices. Let me know what you guys think, and let's keep going with these MAFEX figures so they can keep cranking out more themes, and then we get our Green Lanterns, our Flash, our Green Arrows, our Wonder Woman, our Hawkman, Justice League, Justice Society, Teen Titans storylines rolling. So let's see how it goes. Thank you as always for watching. Let me know what you guys think, which themes you want to see MAFEX tackle. For now, that's it. This episode of Loud's Figure Files has been filed.